Okay, so yes, any questions? Okay, the first, you see the chat box and to type your name for attendance. And don't forget to type your name for attendance every time. So that's gonna be the record for your attendance. Okay, so let's get started. Last time we talked about capital budgeting. The capital budgeting, we have a different way to do capital budgeting. So the main method we look at is net present value and internal rate of return. So we have a net present value and internal rate of return. And also I introduced you the modified internal rate of return. So I wanted to just make a brief summary of what we have learned on Monday. Okay, and so the first method we talk about is payback period. Payback period, it gives you the day, the time. Okay, the time to get all your money back is your initial investment. It takes how many years to get your money back. Okay, so to calculate the payback period, the first you need to see what will be the approximate years you will get all your money back, and then you calculate the time. Okay, to calculate the time, that's going to be let's say how much money left at the end of that year divided by the total amount of cash flow generated during that year. So that's how you calculate a payback period. So the longer it takes, okay, it worse. That means, so when you say the payback period, the shorter time to get all your money back, that's the project you need to choose. So you choose the project with shorter period of time. So that's your payback period. And next we talk about net present value. So net present value is your, okay, this is a net present value is very important to see, to consider the time value of money. The concept you would like to include is time value of money. So the time value of money is going to be considered. So the first, let's say we include the rate of return, okay, the rate of return, and then you use net present value function. Okay, once you get to net present value, you need to say the project is dependent, independent, or the projects are mutually exclusive. If the projects are independent, so as long as a net present value is positive, you accept the project. And if the projects are mutually exclusive, so you accept the project with a higher net present value. For this project A and B, so you choose project B, right? The B is higher net present value. Next, we're talking about internal rate of return. So internal rate of return is going to be the return that makes your net present value equal to 0. So you don't have any net present value. When the return you calculate, internal rate of return is greater than the required rate of return, internal rate of return, higher than the required rate of return, you accept the project. That's the project accept. And if the internal rate of return, both projects are mutually exclusive, so the internal rate of return, you choose the higher one, so which is project A. So you have project A is a 14.96%, is higher than B. So that's internal rate of return. And the same method you're gonna use for modified internal rate of return. So you have two internal rate of return and modified internal rate of return. Okay, let's see what we did last time. We have the example. Okay, we worked on. So look at the example we did for the calculation. So I already have this file upload on Blackboard. So my question is, okay, this is my question. And if you have both project A and B, okay, so those two projects are mutually exclusive. The net present value for this project is higher, right? Project B is higher. But if you do internal rate of return and project A is higher, so you can see that, okay, it gives you a conflict decision. So they are conflict, right? The conflict, so in this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use net present value profile. So we need to do net present value profile and to see how to determine which project is acceptable. So let's do the net present value. So let's see, okay, what is net present value profile? So the net present value profile graphs the net present value of the project with different required rate of return. Okay, so in this case, we are now going to use the 10% required rate of return. So we're gonna have a series of required rate of return. So we calculate the net present value for both project A and B, right? Okay, now, okay, so we wanted to have our graph and it looks like that. And then we have the net present value profile. Okay, let's do the required rate of return. So we are going to do is using, okay, so let's say we do real and we 100%. Okay, we make this one. So we have, we wanted to do is to say the rate, the return. So we wanted to do a series of different required rate of return. So the return we have 2%, and we also have okay, we generate a series of return in 2% plus. Let's see, we have 2% or 1% incremental. Well, let's just do 1% incremental.
I have a question. What are we doing right now?
What is your question?
What are we doing right now?
You are doing is to do net present value profile.
What is that?
Okay. So what is that? This is net present value profile because I told you. Okay, so if you use net present value profile, you choose project B, right?
Yeah.
If you do internal rate of return, you choose project A.
Yeah.
So which one you're supposed to choose? Because these two methods give you conflict decision. So that's why you need to do net present value profile. If these two methods give you the same decision, okay, you don't have to do it. Net present value profile, that's fine. But these two, they give you different decision. So you have to do next step to do net present value profile.
Oh, so if both of them were like project B, we wouldn't need to do the net present value profile?
Yeah, that's right, because typically there's two methods you need to be consistent. Otherwise, you have to, if they conflict, they give you different choice. So the next step you need to do is net present value profile.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, so we see that net present value give you choice B, project B, internal rate of return. So you choose A, right? B and A, so they are conflict.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we have different profiles. So let's say we do, okay, we generate a series of a return, okay, equal to 2% plus this 2. Okay, so we just generate a series of return with 2% incremental. So we can see it until this way. Let's just keep 20%. Okay, so now we have the net present value. So we wanted to have the net present value for project A. And this is a net present value. Net present value for project B. So you have, okay, you have two projects, right? Net present value A and B. So I wanted to make this, let me make it larger. So we have 135%. So that I can know what I'm doing. Okay, so what will be the net present value for project A? Okay, it's going to be, okay, remember, so we calculate equal to net present value function. Okay, we choose the rate, 2%. Okay, and there's a project A, so we select all these positive cash flows. And we plus the initial investment. So we wanted to fix all these numbers. We put $sign In this one, we put a $sign. In this one, we put $sign. Okay, so this number, the project, the cash flow, will not change. The change only the return, right? Required rate of return will change. I'm going to show you this profile here. Okay. Now you get net present value. So we wanted to make sure this is not in percent. So we format this cell. It's going to be numbers. Okay, so we do this. Drag all the way down. Okay, that's a project A. So that's okay. So again, so I want to show you this is the formula for where you're supposed to do right here. Okay, use the net present value function. We do the same thing for net present value project B. NPV function net present value, and then you choose a rate, and this is a return. The cash flows for those value, right? So you fix, you put $sign, and then you plus. This is your initial investment, and you put $sign. So that's net present value for project B, right? Good. So okay, we change the whole thing. Format these cells to be numbers. We drag all the way down here. Okay, so now we have the net present value A and the net present value project B. So you select the net present value. Okay, let's say we select this. Okay, net present value A. And then you insert a graph. Okay, insert line graph right here. So we do a line graph. Okay, with some dot in there. Okay, this is net present value project A. Okay, so you can see this is the graph we have here. And what you need to do is add, so right click and you select data. Okay, so you add, okay, add a service data name, service name, net present value project B. So you select net present value project B. And then, okay, this is the data for project B. Okay, you select series values. Okay, right? Okay, now you can see, you click on OK. So this is your project A, this is a project B, right? The project B, and this is a project A. So you can chart as a data label. So you can add a data, right? Or okay, we have a chart title or axis title, so you can add or that kind of scenario. Okay, so you know this is a net present value project B, this is a B, and this is a net present value project A. So okay, where is the cross point? So what we do is that you go back to select data again, and you add it. You say horizontal X labels. Okay, you select all this return. Okay, so you can see that's a 2%. Okay, so you can see this is going to be the cross point is somewhere between around 10% and between 10% and 12%, so over 10%. Okay, so So if this is a conflict, right? We talk about, okay, it's a conflict when you have these two projects. Okay, this is gonna be your conclusion. If the required rate of return is, okay, required rate of return is less than somewhere like a, okay, 10%. Okay, less than 10%. And you choose, okay, you choose which one, because you see at any level of the required rate of return, project B, okay, the brown line, this is project net present value, project B has higher net present value, right? You choose project B, okay. If, okay, the required rate of return, okay, let's say if the required rate of return is greater than 10%, okay, greater than 10%, so you should choose project A, because you see when the cross point, beyond that cross point, at any given level of required rate of return, so the project A, okay, the blue line, the project A has a higher net present value than project B. So if the conflict, okay, that's you need to do have the net present value profile, and the conclusion is that based on the required rate of return, so you will make a choice of which project is acceptable. So let's see, we see, you know, this is the project A based on the net present value, and then they have a project B, so they find a cross point. So the cross point is somewhere over 10%. So that present value is profile is give you a idea. So where is the crossover point? Okay, you find the crossover point. So basically, this is how you exactly what is the crossover point. So we have the graph to show you, okay, somewhere beyond 10%, right? And then basically what we do is that, so we can do this way. So you find the difference between project A and B, okay? So you find the difference between A and B. So okay, what you do is you use the cash flow of project A minus the cash flow of project B. So it's using this one minus the initial investment of project B. So you click on enter. And so the same thing using net present value of the project A. So this is, right, minus the cash flow of project B. So you apply this to the other years. So that's okay, you got all those, the difference between project A and B for all the years. And then you calculate internal rate of return. So using IRR function, and you select all those data, so you generate. Okay, so internal rate of return, so you will click on enter. So you can see is 11%. Okay, you gotta add 2 decimals. So that's the cross point. The cross point is, okay, this is a cross over rate. So the crossover rate is 10.53%. Okay, so basically this is going to be more accurate. So if that required rate of return is less than 10.53%, we choose project B. And if the required rate of return is greater than 10.53%, you choose project A. Okay. And any questions? Okay. And this is what we talked about today, and about the if you get two projects, which is you get a conflict decision when you're using net present value and internal rate of return. Okay, so I think we have another question is called the profitability index. So we call the PI index. Okay, sometimes we call profitability index is a profitability index.
Are we done with the net present value?
Yeah.
Okay, so what decision did we make?
Decision?
What decision did we make? Like after finding the net present value, the net present value profile, does it help us determine if we're choosing A or B?
Yeah. So if you do the net present value profile, right?
Yeah.
You see that somewhere they cross, right? It's around like 10%.
Yeah.
So your conclusion is going to be if the required rate of return is less than this crossover point, it's like a 10%, right? So you choose the project B.
Oh.
Because you see the yellow line with the project
Yeah.
B,
Yeah.
it's always higher than, right?
Yeah.
Than the blue line. So that's when the cross rate is lower than 10%, lower than the crossover point. So you choose the project B, which is the orange line. And if you the required rate of return, okay, this is if the required rate of return
Is greater.
is higher than the cross point, right? You see like a 12%, 14%. Definitely you choose the blue line, because the blue line, they have a higher net present value. That's your conclusion. This is your conclusion.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So you don't have to be, when you do the net present value function, the profile is, you don't have to be exactly 10.53%. You just around like a 10%. You can see the cross point somewhere. Yeah, it's roughly number. But if you do the difference, you calculate the difference between these two projects, and then you calculate the internal rate of return for the difference. So you can know exactly what is the crossover point. Okay. So we talk about several ways to do capital budgeting. Payback period, right? Internal rate of return, modified internal rate of return. But there's one, it's not in the textbook, but it's very commonly used. I wanted to introduce this one, is called profitability index. Okay, profitability index sometimes is called PI method. The payback period is payback period, sometimes using PBP, payback period. but we have the profitability index. So what is the profitability index? Okay, the profitability index is going to be, okay, so the net present value, okay, this is your net present value of the required rate of return, okay? Select all those positive numbers. Okay, those are the cash flow for project A. And then you divide it by, okay, divided by the initial investment. Okay, that's called profitability index. Okay, so you can see this your net present value divided by your initial investment, because your initial investment is negative. So we can see if you got this one, we add a negative sign to make your profitability index, make it positive. So if your profitability index, okay, is greater than 1, okay, if this one, the absolute value, okay, absolute value, okay, the profitability index is greater than 1, you accept, okay, accept the project. Okay, that's the criteria. So basically, you know, sometimes you can use a profitability index, but sometimes you can use net present value. Basically, they are the same. Okay, so just add one thing about the profitability index in case you read some other textbook, you know, about capital budgeting, so you don't know what is that. Okay, any questions? Okay, I will upload this file and on Blackboard, and so you can review. And also, I already record the video. If you have any questions, then you can always go back to watch the video. Okay, I think that's all for today. So, and oh, one more question. And so we have, do we have any students who is going to graduate in May? So do we have any graduating senior students in class? Okay, if you are going to graduate in May, please let me know. You have to take your final exam early. Okay, send me an email if you are going to graduate in May. Okay, that's all for today. If you don't have any questions, I'm gonna end the meeting for now. Don't forget to type your name in the chat box for attendance. Okay, see you next Monday.